This is a podcast about our lived experience, which unfortunately includes infant death and subsequent mental health struggles. Please take good care of yourself and only listen if this content feels safe for you right now. We'll still be here when you're ready.
Hi, I'm Judith.
And I'm Alina. We both lost babies to SIDS in winter 2021.
In the throes of grief, I reached out to a stranger on the internet and our friendship was born.
In the years since, we've been working hard to survive, rebuild, and navigate the continual challenges that have come our way, including divorce,
Job loss,
dating while bereaved,
moving multiple times,
health scares,
pregnancy and parenting a living child,
starting new jobs, and so much more.
We are tired.
Happily ever after is out of the question for us, but this podcast documents our journeys to happier ever after because we believe life after loss is worth living.
So join us as we laugh, cry until we laugh.
Welcome to As Long As I'm Living podcast.
We're so glad you're here.
It's very annoying that it's not always charged.
How do you live your life without your phone being charged all the time?
I don't go anywhere.
You go places literally constantly. You will call me from your car 8 times a day.
But I have a charger in my car.
Do you charge your phone every single time you get in the car?
Yeah, because I connect it to Android Auto.
But then why is your phone always dead if you're in the car?
Oh, always dead. My phone is always dead. Always dead. I don't know. I think it has a mind of its own. It spends its time ineffectively. It's just not an efficient phone. I mean, it's not an inefficient phone, but I think it charges. I think it uses, I'll tell you why. Every night I charge it, but then I listen to podcasts if I wake up at 1 a.m, 2 a.m, 3 a.m. So then I'm up all night. So then by the time I wake up, even though I charged it before I went to bed, it's dead because I've been listening to someone talking about Mormon trad wives.
Sure. Listeners, are you people who always have your phone charged like me? I charge my phone overnight, every single night. Or are you like a Judith where you live your life with a phone at 30%?
So hold on. Now,
why can't I hear you?
No, I just muted myself.
Oh, thank God. Oh my God. I just got so scared because that happened last time and then the whole thing was a disaster.
No, okay, so guys, something that's really exciting is this podcast is going to be edited by our professional podcaster.
Yes. What's so funny, listeners? So our professional podcast editor, Judith and I recorded last week the episode. It's called 1 in a Million. You would have already heard that episode by the time this episode's coming out. And our professional podcast editor turned that around for us within 24 hours because she's a professional. And she was like, okay, the episode's done. And I was like, great, I'll upload it. And she was like, hang on, whoa, you should listen to it. And I was like, oh, I don't care.
Did you listen to it? I'm sure it's fine.
I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm also sure it's fine. But
so audience, you tell us if it's fine. If it's not fine, we should probably give her some feedback, but I think it'll be fine. I can't imagine she'll do worse than what Alina. I mean, it'll be good. Great.
Exactly. It's not going to be worse than what I'm doing.
I just want to talk a little bit about what we have coming up in the pipeline so people know.
Yes.
So we have this week, and then next week is going to be Dr. Denise.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Talking about support groups, whether or not, how and why, and whether they work.
Yeah, which is going to be an awesome episode. That one might be in 2 weeks because 1 week after this one is going to be Labor Day, and we don't like to release a really good one on a Monday holiday because you guys don't listen on the holidays. This is your fault, listeners.
It's not us, it's you.
We blame this one on you. So we've got some exciting stuff coming up on the podcast. And then if you missed it, we've had some really good stuff this summer on the podcast. We interviewed Judith's sister, Alina, about changing relationships after loss. We had an interview with a lovely TFMR mom, Emily, Malia's mom, that came out, I think, last week as you're listening to this episode. And yeah, it's been a really good summer for As Long As I'm Living podcast. So good shit.
Good shit. Okay, so today we're talking about preparations going into the fact that I'm having a baby boy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually glad that we're talking about this, partly because I have put off these preparation thoughts for so long that it'll be good for me to kind of talk through, think them through, and discuss why not, and how it's being managed in real time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember with my daughter, I don't think we did this.
We did not do this. We did not have an episode about baby prep. I think you were so in outer space.
I was really bad at the end. Those last 4 weeks were really, really, really bad mentally.
I do remember we had an episode called Maybe Baby. You happened to be in labor, and we talked a little bit about what you were doing. I think
I was in labor,
prep, and you were in labor.
I remember it was so funny. You were tracking my contractions. I was like, I'm not in labor, and you're like, I really think you are.
You gave birth 4 hours later.
And you're like, I remember you saying they're pretty consistent. And I'm like, really? Huh. to do something.
You were so in denial that a baby was coming.
I know.
And what's crazy is like you were less in denial than your husband. Like your entire household was like very much like in denial that there was a baby coming. And then she just arrived, like, and she was alive and she's still alive. Like,
I was so surprised.
Which I think is evidence. It goes to show that you actually don't have to do a lot of prep. And by all evidence, the baby will be born alive and survive. And it's all going to be great no matter what you do. However, I do think it's good that you're putting some thought into it this time.
Well, this one requires some thought because of, first of all, okay, with my daughter, the name, okay, I was thinking about it this morning.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few buckets that go into preparations. There's like the physical preparations of like space, like physical, tangible preparations.
Yes, the stuff.
Then there's the name, which feels like a big ticket item.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me, because I live in a faith-based world, there's like religious preparations, meaning like the religious ceremonies and components.
And those traditions are different for boys versus girls. So there's different things you have to think about with this baby that you did not have to think about with your daughter.
Yes, they're different for boys and girls. Exactly. And then we could just call it like mental health preparations.
Yes.
Could be the fourth bucket.
Yes. And so what I'll say is with your daughter, I think you did some of the stuff preparation, but because she was a girl, you didn't share a lot of the clothes. Like you were in a new house, so there wasn't as much like yes, there was a nursery to decorate, but it wasn't like you had to decide whether to use Aiden's nursery, you know, like it was very much like a fresh start.
Yes.
A new baby, new sex of the baby, like the whole thing was very different.
I also know with her, we picked a name and it was like very much, there were a few things about the name. First of all, we decided not to name her after anybody. So we just like got to pick a name that we liked without any other considerations. And I was so superstitious about namings that I just like picked one. I was like, that's what it is. And my husband's like, that sounds good. And that was it. Like there was not conversation. There was not debate. There was not reconsideration. There was not like, what should we write down? It was like, this is it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. This is what it is. And I don't really see the need to discuss it.
And it's a lovely name. It's wonderful. We love her name. It makes sense. It's perfect.
We love her name. And it worked out just fine. But you know what makes me laugh though? I think the way I approach the name is how I approach any decision, which is different than you because you're a very decisive person.
Yes.
So I like to explore every name and then go back and then reconsider. And I think I actually employed a very Alina methodology. I was like, this is a good name. It's a fine name. This is the name. Whereas this time I'm definitely more...
You're taking a more Judith approach to this name, for sure.
Taking a more Judith approach.
Turning it over in your mind, the back and forth.
Yes. When you named Quinn, did you just like pick it? I know you were deciding between Quinn and Finn.
We had 4 names. So we went to the hospital about 95% sure that his name was going to be Quinn. I wanted to meet him, but then he was born and that was his name. And I would say, so for the first 20 weeks, we didn't talk about it at all. For maybe 6 weeks, we narrowed it down from about 40 names to 4 names. And then there were 4 names on our fridge for another 10 weeks. But we stopped talking about it. We were done talking about it. And then we just picked one. We were done. And then he was born and it worked. And we didn't formally name him. We didn't share his name before he was born because I wanted to meet him. If his name wasn't Quinn, I felt like I would know when I met him. In hindsight, totally didn't know when I met him, but I was just like, whatever.
Yes,
his
my
name
husband's
is
the same way. My husband's the same way. He's like, well, I won't know until I'm seeing. I'm like, he doesn't look like anything. Babies don't look like anything, but okay.
Yeah, I didn't feel like, oh, he's a Quinn, but I also didn't feel like he was a Rory or a Milo or a Finn. So I was just like, whatever, his name's Quinn. That's the name we like.
Oh, that's interesting that you liked Milo because your friend named their kid.
I know. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that is funny.
I love that name. It's an excellent name.
I like that name too. And I actually like Finn too. And I also like Rory too. But I do think that Quinn was a Quinn, but he could have been a Finn.
I know.
Would Finn been short for Finnegan or no? Or Finley?
It would have just been Finn.
That's so cute.
I know, it's such a cute name. And now I can't use it, obviously, because I have a Quinn, even if that Quinn is dead. But
no, you can't.
But it's an excellent name. I also love Bryn. I love all these names that are like off limits now.
Quinn, Finn, and Bryn.
Bryn for a girl, yeah. But obviously that's not happening. But yeah, so I definitely, I was going to say one last thing, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, Quinn's name, he kind of named himself because we accidentally started calling him Quill for no reason.
Right.
And then, so once we realized we were going to give him the middle name William, like it just felt like he had to be Quinn William, so he could be Quill. Quinn William Quill.
Of course.
And he kind of named himself. But it's funny how that happens, but whatever.
Yes, of course.
But anyway, when you named Aiden, you took the Judith approach. Did you talk about names and initials and the back and forth and the whatever? Like, how did you approach that?
Aiden, I didn't know at the time, he was born right at the beginning of the Aiden trend, where everyone was named Aiden or Jaden, or, there was a lot of those noises. So I probably wouldn't have chosen that name looking back, but it was, we had a list, we went back and forth 25 times, but we really wanted to name it after people. And so we're very limited because, we wanted to name him after someone named Adelaide. Well, how many boy names are there named after Adelaide? We want to name the baby after Adelaide and Nancy. Now, okay, let's talk about this, because this baby that I'm having now, I want to name after that same person, Nancy, because the first one died. So I feel a lot of pressure to name this baby after Nancy, and that's hard.
Yeah.
Not I feel a lot of pressure. I want to.
Right.
And it's hard.
Is there any part of you that wants to name this baby after Aiden?
No, but there are people who do that. I just really want to name this baby after my grandma, and I feel sad that I don't have a baby that's alive that's named after my grandma. And so once again, I am naming this kid after my grandma, and I when the baby's born, you have a baby naming speech, and you speak about the good qualities of the person that died and how you want to imbue them with these qualities, and it's but I did this. It definitely feels funny because it's it's a choice that I'm surprised I'm making, but it feels dumb.
Are you going to use the same speech? Because her qualities haven't changed.
Guys, this is a serious issue, and I'm glad that you brought that up. I'm not going to use the same speech, but I'll speak about different quality. I don't know. There's no manual for this, for naming two kids in the same family after the same person, except my best friend. Wait, hold on. Guys, I thought of another example. My best friend, she's one of 6, okay? Her parents had 6 kids. They have a mayor they have a Meira because they had 5 girls and they had 4 girls. They had a lot of girls, okay? And they wanted to name after the grandfather Mayor. So they named their daughter Meira. But then a couple babies later, they had a boy, and they're like, oh, we actually want to name this baby after the same person. So they had a Meira, and then they had a Mayor. And then a nephew was born, and they named him Meyer. So they're all named after the same person.
This is like having a Joanna and a John and a Johannes and a Jack.
Yes.
In the same family.
Yes. No, it is. So that's the only family where I know where they use the same name twice. I know people who've named their baby after the dead baby. This is not naming this baby after the dead baby. This is naming the dead baby after a grandmother, and then the live baby after the exact same grandmother.
After the same honor person. Yeah. So, I will say, if I have a boy, I'm very likely to use the same middle name that Quinn had to honor the same people, or a variation of that same middle name.
So you don't think it's weird?
No. His middle name was William after my dad and my brother, and I would probably give another boy the middle name William or Liam, depending on which one went better with his first name.
But wait, guys, I have a super interesting question for everybody. For families that do firsts and seconds, okay, let's say your brother is a William Jr., or maybe a Junior, I don't know what he is.
He's not actually William Jr. because he has a different middle name, but yeah.
I know, but let's just say he was.
Yeah.
And then that baby died. Then you had another baby. Would that baby be William the Third or William Jr.?
I don't know.
Or would you choose to name the baby William at all?
I don't know.
Guys, this is a question that's open, and I want to hear your feedback. I don't know the policies around first, second, juniors, and
policies.
I don't know, but it feels very similar to that to me. Yeah. It's you want a junior, your first junior died. Now you've got a third.
Yeah. So I kind of think, I might be making this up, but I think there's also, you can have if there's John and John Jr., you can also have John the Second, which is not Junior, which means it's skipped a generation. And I wonder if you would do John the Second. I don't know.
Guys, I don't know. But I want to know.
Anyway, all this to say, this new baby's name will not be Aiden.
Not be Aiden. And you might be saying, Judith, you're superstitious. So why would you name this baby after your grandmother if you already named a baby after your grandmother? And that's a fair question.
I don't think anybody's saying that.
But I would say that.
Okay.
But I would say that. I would be that's weird. But I think my grandma was just a really great lady.
Yeah.
she was like the only, when I think about all the people that I want to honor, the only one I really, really, really want to honor is her.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
she deserves 2, you know?
Yeah. And when we interviewed your sister, you had asked your sister, do not name this your baby after Grandma Nancy.
Right. So then it feels like I have to name this baby after her because I already took that away from my sister. It feels very selfish. So anyway, okay, that's the first thing. So the name, we just decided on name. We picked the name, and the name that we selected was very much rooted in the loss.
Yeah. Will you share what it means? I think that feels probably comfortable to share.
The baby's name means stability and joy.
Mm-hmm.
The first name means like a foundational rock,
mm-hmm.
and the second name just means happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's what our hopes are for the baby.
For the baby and for your family with this baby being born.
For our family, exactly. And it's like it's really our hopes.
Yes.
It's not where we are, but it's what we really, really, really want. And I think if this is going to be our last kid, I feel like it feels full circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My daughter's name means that life is from God.
Mm-hmm.
And that name was also rooted in loss.
Yeah.
Whereas that feels like a question.
Yeah.
You know,
mm-hmm.
like her name almost feels like a question to me. This name feels like a hope, you know?
Yes.
Does that make any sense?
Yes. I think with her name, it was like you were acknowledging how vulnerable you felt.
Yeah.
That she had come into the world and you were hoping, like, can we keep her? We know she's yours, God, but we hope we can keep her, right? We hope she's ours to keep.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one is like, this is us saying, like, he's coming.
Okay. This is like, he's coming.
Yeah.
We believe in life.
Yes.
Like, this is what we want for our next chapter. To me, this is very forward thinking, whereas her name was almost backwards looking.
Yes, a reaction to the loss. And this one is
that was a reaction, and this is a hope.
Yeah. And I don't have subsequent living children, but I definitely am thinking about names for future children that I hope I get to give birth to alive. And it is important to me that the name doesn't have to be related to the loss, but it does feel important that the name has some acknowledgement of the baby's family that it's being born into, and this part of the loss is part of that. So whether that's being named after the same people and sharing a middle name with his brother who died, or whether it's a name that means something like brightness and joy, or it's a name that is a part of that feels important to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have literally zero judgment, and I get it when people name their subsequent children in some way after the baby who died. I don't think I would go as far as to give them the name Quinn as a middle name. Definitely not as a first name.
Yeah.
But as a middle name, I don't think I'd go that far. And there's not like any other initials. And there's no other names that start with Q that I could do. I might consider a same letter.
Yeah.
If it wasn't such an odd letter. But yeah, that feels important to me. And so that makes a ton of sense. And I think it's pretty common to think about that in the context of naming a new baby. But it's an interesting thought exercise. For sure.
It's an interesting thought exercise. And I think that it points to where we are in our journeys. Like, yeah. I don't think that we were ready 2.5 years ago to even ask for joy.
No.
It felt like I don't even know if I can ask for life. So it feels gluttonous to ask for stability and joy at that. Okay, so that's the first thing that we spoke about. The other thing that we want to talk about is like the ritual preparations. So Jewish baby boys, when their family chooses, are circumcised. They have like a baby naming ceremony.
And by the way, listeners, if you're not like up on the Jewish traditions of a bris, I didn't know this. You literally don't say the name of the baby until they're 8 days old and they have their bris. I did not know that. I didn't know it was like that. But like, so the name is very much associated, like revealed.
Yes.
As part of that whole ceremony, which I actually think is really sweet.
The baby is not, there's no name. It doesn't have a name.
Yeah.
Until the bris. Yeah, it does not have a name. So it's like even like you don't call it by its name. Like my mom will be living with us. She won't call it by its name. The it's on the paperwork, I guess, you know.
Right. You still fill out the birth certificate at the hospital, theoretically.
But the baby doesn't have a name. And it's a very joyous celebration. It's a big party, and typically it's in the morning and everyone's invited, and it's actually like considered a sin I think, to not go if you are invited. Or maybe it's like, it's not a sin not to go, but you have an obligation to go if you're invited. Like, it's such an emphasis that if you're invited to something like this, that you should be there because we want to welcome everybody into our community. But for me, it's really triggering and it's really emotional. And I still cry at every single one that I go to. I cry at every single one. And I've been to a lot and it's very difficult for me. So we have decided to just do our immediate family, 10 people. That's it. And limit, the service where possible. And I feel a lot of guilt around that.
Why?
Just feel like it's not fair, like it's not fair. Like,
not fair to this baby, not fair to the family who's not invited, not fair to whom?
It's not fair to the baby. Feels not fair to the baby. The family, they don't care. But I mean, they care, but like then they get it. The baby, it just feels not fair. I don't want this baby to be like, I don't think it's fair to make choices for this baby in the wake because his brother died. So I feel a lot of guilt. And there's actually another little celebration that sometimes happens on the Friday after the baby's born. And I was talking to my sister about it. She's like, Judith, why are you like stressing about this? Why are you doing this? Why, like, sit down, And I was like, I feel so guilty. I feel really guilty that this kid will somehow feel like he is less celebrated because his brother died. And the only reason that he is not having these parties is because his brother died. And that feels unfair.
I think that every child, despite being born into the same family with the same parents, every child is born into a slightly different family. There's a different family history, different family events happen, different relatives have been born or died. They have older siblings, younger siblings. One of the things that this baby is being born into is a family that lost a child. And I think in these specific ways, that is going to feel like a loss. There's things he's not getting, right? Because he was born into a family where his brother died, but there's also things he is getting, like he's getting more emotionally aware parents.
That's true.
He's getting a family who is going to rush to see him the second he is born because they understand how precious his life is. There's so much that he's getting that Aiden didn't get,
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say it's better, but it's different. It's different. And I mean, ask any adult man, is he like, who came to my breasts and who didn't come to my breasts? No.
I know. I know. I feel like it feels selfish though, because my husband said, I'll do whatever you want. It wouldn't impact me if we do it. He actually said we could go to the synagogue and do it there in front of 300 people. Like,
really?
And he was like, I'll go to the services. I'll lead the service.
He's like, yeah, I'll dissociate and do whatever. I'll get it done.
Guys, yeah. And there's this thing, this is so nuanced, but there's like this prayer that they say like every day. They say a lot of days. But then if you're having a bris that day, they can skip it.
Oh.
So like it's a hot commodity when there's someone who comes to the service that has a bris, because then they could skip this prayer, save 5 minutes.
Ooh.
So anyway, my husband was like, I'll go, I'll be the hot commodity, I'll lead the thing. Like he was like, he was so open to it, and it feels so selfish because I'm the only one who is hesitant. And I don't know, am I making this decision out of fear? Is this rational? I think I judge my own self. And I'm only saying this out loud because I don't know if other people can relate to it. But I feel like I'm like judging myself for being selfish, like it's like, but you could do it. It's not like when your daughter was born where you couldn't.
Right.
You could do it. So are you choosing not to because, I think I judge myself more.
So I think to like maybe make this a little more general for people who aren't thinking about a bris specifically, I can imagine that people who are expecting a baby after loss maybe turn down the baby shower.
Right.
For a similar reason, where it feels like too painful to celebrate the when you celebrated with your last baby and they died. And I could see a world where someone is really looking forward to the opportunity to have a baby shower again. And a different person might feel really anxious and stressed and feel like they don't want to have the baby shower and feeling guilty that they're not celebrating this baby in the same way that they're celebrating other baby. I think this is so normal, and I don't think you can make a wrong decision here because I don't think there is a right decision. I really don't think. And I don't know if I'm approaching that from a non-religious perspective, but it's not like you're doing anything not appropriate.
I agree.
You're meeting all the rules and regulations. Let me put it that way.
Yes, I'm adhering to all the rules and regulations. I'm just wondering if I'm enough.
Of course.
If I'm putting my needs before other people.
But taking care of yourself in those early days is putting the baby's needs first.
Yeah.
Because you're the one who has to take care of the baby.
It's also hard to make a decision before you're in it.
Yeah.
I always say dip your toe in, see how it feels. Well, you can only dip your toe in if you don't have to plan something for 300 people.
Exactly. But you are planning to have a party for him later.
That is what we have decided to do. We being me, because I'm the one who has this shtick. But after the baby lives longer than Aiden, then we will be having a Thanksgiving type celebration.
Mm-hmm. Which you did with your daughter as well.
Which we did with my daughter too, a meal of gratitude and a Thanksgiving type. And I feel really good about that.
Yeah.
And I feel safer. It feels safe for me to celebrate. One of the reasons why I don't want to do this, Briss, in case you're wondering why I don't want to do it, is because I think people come and they are happy and they don't see the bittersweet of what it is. And I think people take the life for granted and they do this so rotely. They just do it like they've done a million other brisses. And for me, this is scary.
Yeah.
And for me, this is a big deal. And I need everyone in the room to be respectful of the fact that this is complicated and nuanced and bittersweet. And I just don't think I can ask 300 people to show up with the nuance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It probably wouldn't be 300 people. I'm saying it'd probably be 50 people, but that's not the point. I don't think so. That's why it's more I don't know if I can be vulnerable enough.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have that in me. So, okay. So that's that ceremony.
Yeah.
And then the physical things, I have to say I'm really proud of myself because I've done it. I've done the things.
Yeah.
Not all of the things. Okay. If I was Alina, there'd probably be 10 more checklists. But I've done some of the things.
You've got a nursery. You've gone through the clothes.
I've done most of the things on your checklist.
Did you WD-40 the dishwasher?
Did it what?
WD-40 the dishwasher. That was on my pre-baby checklist, among many other chaotic requests.
I 100% did not. That was on your list. But I'm gonna pack a bag.
Good.
That's a big deal. And in case you guys are wondering, I feel like what I tell myself is if this baby dies, you still need a bag.
Yep.
If the baby dies, I still need it's okay to have a nice room for me to have my office. The nursery is not babyish at all, intentionally.
Mm-mm.
Because if the baby dies, I want to still be able to use it as a room.
Mm-hmm.
I, in fact, actually don't have a crib in the room. I just have a bed because it's going to be a guest room and an office for as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And if babies die, they still need names.
Mm-hmm.
If babies die, you can still have a room that has nice paint on the walls. I have intentionally prepared with a caveat that babies die.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want anyone to think I'm normal. I didn't say it was normal. I just said that I did the preparations necessary. And I tell myself whenever I get the things, if this baby dies, you can sell it.
I mean, let's be honest. You did it last time. You figured out how to get rid of all the shit in your house last time.
That's what I tell myself. I did it last time. And he didn't die because he had a crib.
No.
Okay, that's growth.
If anything, you have so many more skills of how to get rid of dead babies things this time. You can handle it.
Alina, this is what I'm telling you. I think my attitude, by the way, is not, I would not say I don't think it's unhealthy, but I think it's rooted in a reality that babies die.
Sure. Understandably so.
And I am making conscious choices without blind optimism.
Yep.
And that feels how I can do it. So that's how I'm going to do it.
I love it.
And then the last area that we're going to talk about is emotional preparations for being in the similar headspace, physical space that I was being the fact that Aiden died as a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my therapist last week that it feels like I'm going into the lion's den.
Mm-hmm.
It's very scary.
You were throwing yourself off of the rock and into the ocean.
That's how it feels.
Yeah.
That is very scary. And guys, this is how much growth and healing I've done. And I just want all of you guys to be really proud because I'm really proud. And maybe there's a piece of me that's excited to spend time with Aiden, even if it's sad. Even if it's hard, even if I'm going to be crying the whole time, and I know I will be because I cried the whole time with my daughter, and I know that it will be emotionally difficult to hold a baby that was his side, and I know it will be difficult, but there are so few times in my life now where I feel like I get to spend time with Aiden and feel close to him. It feels like an opportunity that I will cherish, even though it will be difficult.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm crying.
I don't get to hold babies his size or smell babies his size very often. And I don't get to do all the things we did together.
Yeah, take him to the dog park and, hold him in the middle of the night.
I don't get to pretend to breastfeed. And I don't get to change his clothes 25 million times a day. Like, I don't ever change any baby. I change my daughter's clothes, but I don't buy size 1 diapers.
Yeah.
I don't do these things because it's such a short window of time. And maybe there's like a piece of me that is terrified and sad, but like also really excited to spend time with him in this weird, sad way.
Yeah.
Even giving birth, it's like, I did that with him.
You've only done it 2 other times, and one of those times was him.
Was with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what he looks like too, because the 3D ultrasounds, admittedly, so far, this new baby looks just like your daughter and very little like Aiden.
Yeah.
But I know there's gonna be like little looks he has that are gonna look like Aiden.
Yes, like my daughter has this whirl in the front of her head that Aiden had in the exact same spot, and like it just, I get so little that even when what I get is tinged with sadness, like, I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful thing. And I mean, I know you feel guilty about all the ways that you can't show up for this baby in the same way that you showed up for Aiden, but like there's so many ways you're going to show up for this baby in a better, different, like more loving, more present way than you could have with Aiden.
I didn't with my daughter.
Sure. We'll set her aside, but she's thriving. That girl is not missing a beat.
She's thriving. She's thriving, and maybe I deserve to have a good experience. Maybe I don't like the word deserve, but
you've earned a good experience.
On my dark days, I'm convinced everything will go wrong, and this is going to be an epic, horrible disaster, because both other times were epic, horrible disasters.
For different reasons.
Totally different reasons. But then I think to myself, like, okay, but maybe I get a good time.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Like, I don't like feel confident in that, but like, I guess I'm open to the idea that maybe this will be different. And that's growth.
Maybe it'll feel stable and happy and joyful.
Maybe. What are the odds?
I think
50-50.
Well, I don't think it's going to be either or. I think it's going to feel about 20% associated.
Yeah.
And then 40% terror and 40% joy.
Honestly, like that would be a win.
I think so too. So much better than last time for you.
Last time it was about 98% disassociated.
Yes. 1.5% terror and 0.5% joy.
And with Aiden, okay, my therapist was like trying to get me to think. She's like, well, what was it like with Aiden? I was like, oh my God, it was the happiest time of my entire life. Like, so that was like a totally different experience. Yeah, so that gave me like reassurance that maybe. I would take 40%. That would be great.
I know.
Okay, guys, I think that's a full assessment of how my thoughts.
Yeah, we covered a lot. I bet this is relatable.
I don't know. What do you think of these hooks?
I think they're very cute. What do you have hanging on there? Is that a little baby coat?
It's a hat and a flannel jacket.
Oh.
Which I think is so funny.
A baby flannel jacket.
In the guest room. It's a guest room. And my office.
Not a nursery.
The greatest thing my work ever did is gave us virtual backgrounds. Really. I know you like your background because your background is so pretty, but I don't really want to talk to people about my unmade bed. Okay, Alina.
Okay, Judith.
Is the countdown on?
The countdown is on. Probably by the time this is out, the baby will have been born. So if that's the case, folks, I will add a little postscript. We'll probably add a postscript anyway, just to say whether the baby's been born or not, because I'm sure people will be curious. Probably not going to record while Judith's in labor this time, because that was an accident last time.
That was an accident, and I'm really hoping that this time I'm in less denial, and I'm like able to be like, hey, this is probably not a good time for me. Okay, well, I have to go to a dumb meeting.
Ugh, me too.
All right, I'll see you later.
Hi, everybody. Alina here. I have some news to share, which is that Judith's baby was born alive yesterday. yesterday as I'm recording this. He was born alive. It's been bittersweet for Judith, obviously. Uh, just very, very, very sweet, and also really challenging. So if you could send some love Judith's way, to her and the baby, I'm sure we will talk more about what it's like to have a son in her arms again. So more to come, but I just wanted to let you all know that that baby boy is here and he's alive. More soon. Love you guys. Bye.
To all of our wonderful new friends, we want to hear from you. Email us at aslongasimlivingpodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at aslongasimlivingpodcast. We'll get back to you as soon as our grieving brains allow.
Yay!